Hi there, this is Colin, and in this lesson I'm going to teach you about the call to action module. So if we go to advanced modules here, click that, opens up. The third one down is called call to action, alternatively known as CTA. I'm going to drag that out onto the page into a new row down here. And I'm going to drag this up here so you can see what we're doing. So this basically creates two sections. We've got a text section over here, and we've got a button over here. And it defaults to putting it into the full width, as you can see. So if we want to change the main heading of the call to action, we would change that over here. And if we want to change the subheading, this one here, we would change that in the text editor here. So for example, I can change the color of that to red, and you'll see it change when I click save. There we go. So I'm going to go back in there and edit that again. We're going to go to the style tab, and this is where we can start getting into some fun stuff like the layout. So right now it's set at the default, which is inline, and inline basically means sitting side by side. Okay, and the spacing between the two is set at 0. I will change that to 60 just to show you what happens. It pushes or creates a padding above and below at 60 pixels. So I'm going to put that back to 0. Next one is our heading structure. So this actually refers to our heading here, and right now it's set to an H3 tag. So this will be determined by your theme as to what size this is. If I change this to an H1 tag, you'll see that it gets bigger. There we go. So that's much bigger in an H1, and H2 will be slightly smaller but bigger than the H3. So I'm going to leave it on H2. You can override this heading size by going to custom and then changing it. So right now it's at 24. If I put this to something very large like 48, you'll see it gets to be very big, probably a little bit too big for the purpose of this one. But let's take it back down to, let's say, 30 pixels. Okay, so that's our heading. Now we can change the text colors on this too. So for example, I'm going to click on here, and this will just take it to a, let's pick it up to red, and that will change the text colors completely of everything on there. So that's pretty handy if you want to do everything in one go. And this is actually in its own little module. So if we click on this, we can actually change the background. So I'm going to make it something that will stand out so that you can see it. There we go. And that is our background. As you can see, we don't have any padding or anything right now, so it's not touching the side. And the background opacity, we can change this and we can put it down to something, you know, a lot less. It's very faint there. If I put that down to, I don't know, 30%, it won't be quite the yellow that we had before. Okay, but let's put that back up to 100%. Okay, so that's our background color. I'm going to actually get rid of that because I think it looks better without the background color for this purpose of this video. Okay, we'll leave the text the same color as it is. And the next one I'm going to go over to is the button. So the button we did in our last lesson, it gives us lots of options. We've also got the option of adding, you know, some text on our button here. We can also add an icon if we want to. By doing this, we'll put a bell on there. Okay, and where we want our link to go, so we'll put a hash in there for this one, our target window, same window or a new window, and then we get into our button colors. I'm not going to go into all the button colors in this video, but you can change the buttons there. We also have the choice of adding the gradient. You'll notice that it puts a slight lighter edge on the top of the button. And then we've got our button structure just like we did in the button. So, you know, if we change our round corners to something like 30, we'll make it into a round button. But let's put that back to 4. Okay, so that's our button option. And the advanced tab, we've got our custom CSS class. We can choose to have this button only show on certain devices. And we've also got some margins here. So that's our button as the inline style. Now if I go back over here and change this to our stacked style, it's going to move the button into the middle. As you can see, that's something that now is more tall than it is wide. And if I click save, I can now drag this call to action anywhere I want, and it will actually, you know, stay that size. Now if I take that back over here, I want to show you a quick trick. So let's say we've got it in its full width column there, and we want to change this. The problem we've got if we put this back to inline is that it's too wide. Okay, and we've got no way of kind of reducing the space between, but we do if we kind of full things up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click save. I'm going to leave it where it is right now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to add content. I'm going to add some row layouts I'm going to add 3 columns. I'm going to drag that out over here. I'm going to put it just above where we want. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag our call to action into the middle one. Okay, it's not going to look right at this point. And then I'm going to go into my left column and set this to 20%. Okay, and I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go to my right column and set this at 20%. Now we've got something that's a little bit more pushed together. Now if I actually click on Done, publish our changes, when you see that on your page, you can see it's more central and it's closer together. So that was a quick little trick on how to bring those modules in if you want them on the inline. You know, you can obviously increase this a little bit more if you go to 25% on this side. See, it's got squished up a little bit more there. And if I go with something like 25 on, this will probably push it over a little bit too much and push it down. We'll move that out of the way. 25%, you can see that the button's kind of gone wrong there. So we probably would be safe at like 22%. Click on 22 there. And if we go over here and change this one to 22% as well, we will also, there we go. So what happens here is I'm going to click Done, Publish Changes, and as you can see, it's brought it in there. So that's the call to action module. I hope you have fun with it. There's lots of things you can do, but it's kind of useful to get people to click through and sign up for something. That's the call to action module. I hope you've had fun. I will see you in the next lesson. Thanks. Bye now.